Hey team, welcome to the Virtus Performance Podcast. We're back for another week, episode number 75, I believe. Today's episode is with the ever so lovely Anna Janssen. She is my yoga muse. She almost fell off her chair just then. That was pretty funny. Anna's someone who has helped bring mindfulness and yoga and self-acceptance to my life and to the lives of many people in the Virtus family. She's someone who lives and breathes the things she believes and the things she teaches, and I think that's what makes her such a powerful force within the yoga industry. Being a paramedic and a yogi are certainly two things that, although they're what she does, certainly does not define the kind of person she is. So it was cool today to sit down and have a chat about who she actually is outside of those labels and those things that she does. We dove pretty deep into self-acceptance and kindness and appreciation, and I thoroughly enjoyed the last hour or so. So I hope you guys do too. Before we get stuck in, if you do enjoy the episode or if you enjoy any of the episodes, even if you don't enjoy it, if you could chuck a 5-star review up on iTunes, that would be spectacular. It's weird wanting to pump up this kind of stuff because we're really just having a conversation, but the more people that can get behind it and obviously subscribe but also get those 5-star reviews up, the more people that will get listening and the better conversations we can have and that you guys can listen to. So without further ado, here's AJ. My personal and business goal is to be just a little bit better every day. I believe everyone, especially normal people, have a story to tell. The Virtus podcast exists to help us all find small ways of consistent improvement by discussing the journey and experiences of each of our guests. AJ, how are you, mate?
Fabulous.
Very good. How's your day been?
Do you want to hear about it? Are we starting with that, or are we going to finish with that, or just bring it up in between?
I'll bring it up at some point, but first question for you. Who are you? And you're not allowed to answer it with what you do. Who are you?
Today?
You can start with today.
No. I ask other people this.
Yeah.
And make them ponder that.
Yeah.
And I haven't asked myself this in a long time, actually.
It's a hard question.
I know, it's really hard. Because I made myself steer clear when I was asking myself this of those classic sort of career, job, partner roles. So as a person, I am just what I would say is a real, compassionate being that is just here to try and be the best human I can for myself and others. And I fuck that up a lot, especially today. But
we all do.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I'm just a compassionate being. Call it that.
I like that. How's what you are and who you are changed and adapted over the last few years?
Heaps, actually. So, yeah, I'd say probably 4 or 5 years ago I would have put a lot of worth on my role as a paramedic. And I think as a partner, and over time as I've, delved into the yoga world, which is a lot of introspection and self-inquiry, I have come to realise that all of those are just layers and personas, and there's just the core beneath that, which is all of those personal values, which is what probably other people see me in interactions. So, you know, my wonderful sense of humour, my sarcasm, my compassion, my want to give to other people. Wow, I'm just talking myself up. So.
No, play on. I'm all about it.
But yeah, that's come to change over the last few years because I've realised that there is so much more to me than just my role as a paramedic, yoga teacher, partner, daughter, sister, mama to Luna. And all of those things just coexist, but yeah, neither of them is, you know, me. Or neither of them define me.
Where'd that shift happen, or when did it start happening, and were you aware of it when it did?
I think it probably started, I'd say maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and probably when I realised that I was pretty unhappy with many things in life. So unhappy relationship, unhappy sort of in just where I was at, other than my job. And I realised that there was so much love for my job, which I still have, but I realised that there had to be something more. And because I wasn't really finding happiness in other elements, I sort of delved into that. That was awesome. And then I sort of found, I guess, yoga, and realised that all of the things that I was sort of finding to make myself happy were external. And so, yeah, it changed, and I realised exactly what I wanted. I realised what I wasn't getting, and sort of realised what I deserved and owed to myself. And then that's where this sort of big journey of exploring me has come from. And, yeah. So it's been over a few years, but I can definitely say it would have happened probably, what month are we in? We're in November. Yeah, I'd say 3 or 4 years ago.
It's pretty cool, and it's been cool to, from a outside looking in, to see you develop and grow as a person, as an individual, as a friend.
Likewise,
all of those kind of things. It's been a hectic few years.
So, and it's funny because I think of that with you. Like, who would have thought that I'd be here podcasting with you, talking about, you know, all this real deep shit, and, you know, sharing different things on mindfulness and meditation and, you know, yoga and all of that cool stuff. I just wouldn't have thought that years ago, and it's really cool to see that that's where we're both sort of ended up in our own way, though, like separately. So
yeah, I do it the evidence-based, sciencey, like normal way, and you go the hocus pocus chakras way, and it's cool because it, like I joke about it, but I've learned so much off you around that spirituality side.
Pseudoscience, it's great.
Yeah, no, pseudoscience is probably not great. I wouldn't go that far. I don't know, I kind of feel the same with like Tommy and Sammy about like religion. Like, you realise that even though we may have different beliefs about how things have happened or how things do happen, that effectively we believe pretty much the same things. Just the semantics are a little bit different. And I think
I'm not too woo-woo though, let's be clear.
You're not.
I throw away a lot of the woo-woo bullshit that's out there because that's not for me and I don't resonate with that.
You do say chakras a lot, but I think that's mostly just to annoy me.
Yeah, actually.
Right now, Anna's mixing her coffee with a toothbrush.
Let's be clear, the bottom end of the toothbrush, not the bristle part.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing if there is any maple syrup because I did ask Heath for an iced maple latte. Yet to taste the maple, so thanks, Heath.
Sorry, Heath.
Carry on.
How'd your journey into the yoga world start? And like, I think like we use the term like yoga world as like a key to open the door to all this other deeper philosophy stuff. But where'd that start?
So that would have been 4 years ago. I think it's 4 years ago now, maybe 3. And it was at that time where I was not really doing anything physical. So I had work. I knew that I needed to be sort of keeping fit and keeping healthy, both body and mind. And I've not really ever enjoyed running, dabbled in just the odd occasional sort of run. I wasn't playing any team sports, and I had a gym membership that I was just sporadically sort of using.
Yeah.
And just, I think the big part was that there was just a yoga studio local to me, really close to home. So I just went and tried a class there. And I think at that time was when I'd sort of gotten into Instagram. So I had been made aware of yoga as a physical practice. And so that's where I came from, is wanting to exercise. And to me, it was all about the cool shit, the flexibility, the handstands, looking like these pretzels on Instagram. And it's funny because that's sort of how my journey started, and I have changed so much with that. But yeah, I really liked, and I was surprised by how much I liked the spiritual side of it. So it became a regular practice, and my ex at the time sort of said, oh, this is just a phase, like everything else that I was sort of doing.
Yeah.
And if it's a phase, it's a long one. And it became, with that, then I sort of got into Pilates as well, and then I just really started to delve into all of the study that came with that and self-study, and realised that the physical practice is just one of what we call the 8 limbs, and I was just blown away by that because that's all I had been exposed to. So then I got approached to do my teacher training and just went for it, and I sort of was in classes realising how much I wanted to be teaching and sharing the practice as well. And I just started doing, extra workshops and things like that. And then, just was in a place and everything lined up perfectly for me to do my teacher training. And that time when I did that was a huge sort of transitional phase for me. And that's when everything sort of started to shift. And so that's how I sort of came into it. So purely from a physical practice, as so many people do. And then you sort of start to peel back all the layers and realise that that is just one very tiny, tiny aspect. And then if you are open to it, it can be a daily practice, whether you're actually stepping onto the mat and doing something physical or not.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What are the 8 limbs?
We did this last time.
Yeah, I've forgotten.
Do we need to read
Yes.
All right. So we have the yamas and the niyamas. So they are our sort of moral principles that we follow. So our yamas, we've got 5 of them. Mm-hmm. So ahimsa is non-violence. Satya is truthfulness in our word and thought. Asteya is non-stealing. Brahmacharya refers to sexual intention, but we won't go into that today. And then aparigraha, which is non-hoarding. So there are yamas. And then our niyamas are our sort of cleansing sort of practices. So there's 5 of those as well. And then we have asana, which is the physical practice. Then we have pranayama, which is our breath work that we do. So anytime we're doing those sort of breathing exercises during class, at the start of class, maybe at the end. Pratyahara, which is withdrawal of the senses, so really coming inward and sort of shutting off from anything external. Dharana, which is our concentration. And dhyana, which is meditation. And then samadhi is, I guess, what we call the 8th limb, and it's referred to as enlightenment, which is not necessarily something we ever get to, but it's just that sort of, if we practice all of these things, we can maybe start to scratch the surface of that. So for some people, all they ever practice is the asana, the physical practice, but, if they're really into that, some people only want that. They show up for that, they want to sweat, they want to work.
Yeah.
And a lot of people start with that, and then in every class there are elements of everything else. So I think you realise, and whether you're open to it or not, there are all these other principles, which is what is then classified as the lifestyle. So, I think not everyone takes on all of those, and it's pretty impossible in a modern society to sort of take on all of those. But I just, a lot of those principles of what has changed in me over the last few years is like taking on a few more of those things every day on and off the mat.
Would you say yoga, and this, take this wherever you want, but would you say yoga and the practice is a selfish discipline?
I think so. I've spoken about this recently with someone. I think it is Selfish in the sense that you sort of put yourself first. Generally.
Yeah.
Because it is a self-practice and it's an internal practice. And sometimes I think in the yoga world we can get caught up with taking that too far and then just thinking, this is about me, this is my self-practice, my self-love, self-care. But then our head gets too far up our own ass and we forget that. All right, let's also remember the other principles.
Yeah.
So ahimsa, non-violence, can refer to non-violence to ourselves in how we treat ourselves and our thoughts and our actions, but then with every other being around us. So I think yoga is a very selfish practice, but if you are also being aware of others around you, you can make sure that you're serving yourself and getting what you need, but then also being the best human that you're actually having a positive impact on others and not just completely, neglecting or not taking on the views of other people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because I kind of see it as that selfishness is important in all areas of our life, but I think it's, if you have that self-respect and that self-belief, it gives you a platform to be able to help other people.
Exactly.
And I think we see it, Instagram, whatever, in different parts of society where people use that selfishness and dive into the selfishness but miss all the other part.
Exactly.
And forget that you actually have to be a good person and you have to do things for other people.
Exactly.
And they're the things that fulfill you more than anything else.
Exactly. I think it can be a selfish practice. It's a self-practice, which then just projects onto those around you, if depending on what you're doing. But it can certainly be taken to be a completely selfish practice, and it's you can get caught up in that, and I've been caught up in that a lot of the time, where I just start saying yes to all of these things for myself and go, it's for my yoga practice, it's for this, and I need this, and I need this. And then sometimes you need to actually take a step back and go, no, I don't. So it really is a balance. That
journey into introspection that you've kind of been going on, and it's a journey for a reason. It's not like, I'm woke as fuck now, I'm sweet.
I'm woke today.
Have there been periods throughout that where you've been really unsure in the direction you're heading, or you've been really struggling with your place in the world, or you've been really struggling with where your head's at?
Yeah, I think early on, definitely, because as I sort of delved into the yoga world, there were things that were popping up that I was really drawn to, and I wasn't perhaps in a place where I was able to comfortably go and explore that. So I remember returning home from a yoga retreat, and it was like a 3-day winter solstice retreat. And it was my first sort of, yoga retreat. It was my first, I think I'd maybe been practicing for, maybe 8 months or something. And it was incredible. And there was actually no physical yoga on this retreat, as it turned out. But there was, meditation, drinking lots of chai, essential oils and craft, and just really good deep chats with this beautiful bunch of women. And I came home from it. And that's right, during this retreat, someone was there. It was actually Shanae from Lulu.
Yeah.
But she was there. Shout out to Shanae.
Superstar.
She was actually there doing a Reiki session. And I'd never delved into this. I'd never known what it was. And so it was a short Reiki session and some card readings. And
you gone woo-woo.
I've gone woo-woo. So anyway, I had that, and cool, liked it, first sort of touch into that. And then I came home from the retreat, and I by no means was then going to go and get regular Reiki sessions or anything. But I remember just saying to Max at the time that, just talking about the retreat, and the response I got was, well, if you're into all that bullshit now, then, but quite seriously, I don't want a part of it. And it wasn't that I then wanted to delve into it. I hadn't come home and gone, all right, now I'm going to become an anti-vaxxer. I'm going to, grow out my armpit hairs and, take Reiki healing sessions every day. But I just found like something that I was really drawn to in that whole retreat, you know, which was really just a beautiful weekend of mindfulness and connection.
Yeah.
And so I sort of felt really defeated and was like, all right, I can't really explore this. But part of me knew that I wanted to sort of delve more into all of that. So that was sort of the first time when I realised, like maybe this isn't me and maybe this isn't who I am and I shouldn't explore that.
Mm.
But then part of, like, you know, as time has changed, I'm like, no, like there are parts of the spiritual side that I really, really love. And then there's parts that, yeah, for me are a bit too woo-woo, and I just sort of go, all right, cool.
And I think it's important to be able to be self-aware enough to, one, not take everything on face value and actually be able to dive into it a little bit, but also to know when, okay, this isn't my jam right now. It might, like, right now, in a couple of years, things might change, or if, you know, you might start going down a different path. And
if I said to you 5 years you'd be journaling every day and meditating, what would you say? Or maybe 10 years.
10 years, yeah. Yeah, it's just for such a big part of my life, it just wasn't even on the radar.
Yeah.
And I think, like, journaling, for example, I fought with journaling for, like, years. Like, I knew that I needed to do it, or I wanted to do it, but it took me, you know, 2.5 years before I, like, started, like, writing things down. You know, when you get a new diary and you're like, or a new book, and you write something in the first 3 pages and then don't touch the book for another 6 months. Mm. That was me in journaling. Mm. I'd try it and it just wouldn't work.
It's me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still there.
Yeah, and I'm still there. Some days I have to, like, force myself to write in it. But the last, and it's a very small sample size in relative to everything, but the last 68 days I've filled up a page and written thoughts and notes and quotes and shit on the other page. Mm. And now I feel like I'm missing something if I don't do it. Mm. Now I'm thinking, like, I'm missing an opportunity to understand myself better, or to get my words out there, or to understand the world a little bit better. And, like, meditation is something that I'm not hitting every day yet, but I hit most days. And if I miss a day, that's the same feeling. It's almost like that little bit of, I've missed out an opportunity to know myself better. And I think that's just come from persistence. It's something that I've wanted to do but just haven't for whatever reason. Mm. And I think they're habits that now I'm cultivating because one of the circles I surround myself with, so obviously having people like you, and being able to, you ask me if I'm doing yoga this week, or if, you know, see you talk about a different side of the practice. It's not just the physical side, because the physical side of things I've had significant amount of, like, physical exertion or whatever for the last 20 years. Exactly. But it's the concentration side and the withdrawal of senses and the meditation and the going inwards that's kind of, like, most excites me at the moment. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. It's an interesting one. But I think, and really understanding what meditation actually is and what mindfulness actually is.
I think so many people see it as having to just sit there and not think. And I think that's still, I feel like it's becoming a little bit more open to people. I
have those conversations twice a week now. Like, are you able to just not think? No, that's, like, not the point.
It's very, yeah, I think it's gradually becoming a little bit more, for want of a better word, mainstream, in the sense that people are becoming aware that it's not just forcing yourself to sit uncomfortably and clear your mind and not think about things. You don't have to sit, you can lay down, you can do it on a train, you can whatever. But it's, people are realising, oh, okay. There's still a little bit of woo-woo taboo around it, though, for some people that are maybe not ready to sort of step into that yet. And they might not ever get there, but
who cares? Everyone's got their own path. But, like, the Calm app, for example, has changed. Like, it's changed my life. Like, I remember maybe Feb this year, I bought it, and it's like $70 for the year or something. And I was like, a little bit of positive pressure. If I buy it, I'm probably going to use it.
But then once that money's gone, you forget about it, though.
Yeah.
It's easy to do that.
So, and I've just jumped into it most days since then, and I love being able to, I kind of go into it, I try not to go into it with an intention. Yeah. I just sit and think, but I usually am in one of two headspaces. I'm either in a, slightly anxious, a lot of stuff going on kind of headspace. If I'm in that headspace when I do it, I try and like I'm sitting by a river, like I picture a river in my head and all the thoughts are just going down the river and I watch them go past and then I wait for the next one and I wait for the next one. And the 10 minutes feels like it takes about a minute.
Yeah.
And if I'm not in that headspace, I'm in like that kind of creative, kind of looking for cool ideas headspace. And then I picture the river again, but then I like wait out and like grab the thought and like start unraveling it and like pulling it a piece of string. And I find just being aware of like how I feel beforehand, I always finish the 10, 15, 20 minutes, however long I'm doing it for, and am like, here's what I need to do. Yeah. Or here's what I don't need to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, the best thing is, I think the best time to do it is obviously when you first wake up in the morning before you look at any device, before you do anything. Even if you're still in bed when you do it, is actually like whether you.
I'd go straight back to sleep.
I know, that's what you have to sit up. You have to like sit up. But that is the most profound time to do it because it's before you have had any external influences, and you can just allow whatever comes up, and yet still just like not attach any sort of extra attention or effort to what pops up. But it's a really good time to do it, and then just if you want to, then make a plan for the day, but not a plan in the sense of a to-do list, but a plan of how do you want to feel today? What do you want to do for yourself? Things like that, rather than, all right, I've got to tick this off, I've got to tick that off. And so like the moment, I mean, it's funny because I'll do teacher trainings or retreats, and, for days or weeks at a time on these trainings or retreats, it's like you get a really good, solid, consistent practice and then come back home and it just goes out the window. It's the first...
Life happens.
It's the first thing to go.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I love seeking out classes and using, I guess, my time when I'm teaching to allow for that as well. Because, for so many of us, it's just something that we go, I haven't done that today, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And the best intention is to do it the next day. But, I try to hold myself accountable for it because I know, like yourself, I know when I do it, I feel amazing, or I do it and I struggle, and that's okay.
Well, it's like when you don't want to do it, that's when you really need it. And I always thought that was a bit of a cop-out.
Yeah.
But it's just like showing up at the gym or eating a healthy meal. It's like just doing it is... Exactly. And even if you get nothing out of it, just that...
Even if it's 10 minutes. And that's why, like, I am really happy to be able to sort of bring the slower stuff with yoga to Virtus, because as I'm sort of finding, I feel like that's what more people at Virtus need. They go to Virtus for their physical activities, and like there is still a demand for vinyasa and people want that, because I think the things that I guess we work on in yoga are different to what someone's working on in the gym.
Definitely. And
you're also getting all of the other aspects of the mindfulness and time to sort of slow down and pay attention as well. But what I'm finding is there's just such a demand for our slower yin classes at the moment.
Yep.
And I like being able to offer that because there's a lot more time for me, I feel, to be able to offer longer periods of meditation and time to just really come inwards without me feeling like, I better not spend too long sitting and getting everyone to sort of have a med beforehand, because I know that they've come for vinyasa and they want to get moving and they're going to get bored. So I'm really enjoying that at the moment and being able to offer that, because the feedback that I'm getting is really good, and I'm enjoying being able to allow people a space that they can come into and just completely slow down, switch off, and just sort of be nurtured for an hour, and also, start to build this really sort of positive internal relationship. And then through that, it might be, very still short meditations, but it's making it a little bit more accessible for people to be able to just sort of turn up and go, all right, I only need to maybe sit and do this for 5 minutes, and then I can do that at home.
Yeah, 100%.
It was funny. Tessa's mum, I forget her name, lovely lady. It's going to be on the tip of my tongue for the rest of the podcast, but Tessa's lovely mum and her husband came to a yoga class of mine months and months ago.
Yeah.
And when I was talking to her not long ago, she said, oh, yeah, my husband and I, we just, loved your class. They've just only been to the one, but she said, we loved it. And since then, we've now got a home practice.
How good.
And I was like, what? And so they...
It doesn't take much.
It doesn't take much. And she said that, in the mornings now, whether it's just sitting, they sit, they have a short meditation, and then some, just really nice mindful movement to wake up in the morning. So just, some sun salutations and some cat-cow movements and just sort of mobilising the spine, which I think everyone needs to be doing every morning anyway. And, things like your hip cars and things like that. And she said that surprisingly, it's her husband who every single day does it without fail. And so she's like, he holds me accountable.
Yeah.
Because he wakes up and that's what he does. And that was something that they started just after coming to a class. And I felt really bad because I couldn't remember the class that they came to or what we did. But I thought, that's awesome. If that's what I can, and if that's what yoga can
impact you can make in an hour.
Yeah, if that's what we can offer to people, then that's awesome. If everyone was having a home practice, that would be ace. So I am so happy if that's what people get out of a class with me is that, I'm now empowered to do a home practice. Then my job's done. And then they can come back when they need to come back. But that's amazing. That's something that is, we've made that accessible for someone.
If you could articulate...
articulate anything.
In so many words, what meditation gives you? What you take from meditation? What would you say?
Just awareness of, I think, what is happening right now. So I guess awareness of the present moment and just coming back to the now. Because it's so easy for us to think about the events of the day or the week or what's coming up ahead. Yeah. And so when I am meditating, I just try not to let any of that shit take up any of my time.
Yeah.
Because do I need to be focusing on that right now? No, I don't. Because when I finish meditating in 10 or 20 minutes, that will be there waiting for me.
Yeah, and then you can look forward to all this cool stuff that's happening.
Yeah, because... I'm not saying that we don't need to forward plan or reflect because that's something...
We'd be in a bit of trouble if we didn't.
Yeah, so that's what we need to be doing, but not in that period of time where we want to just sit and become really present with here and now. So for me, that's what it is. And like you said, it's just imagining that anything that pops up, we acknowledge it and go, carry on, keep going. So I often, when I am doing it, I have to have something to... I guess bring myself back, which for me is just simply coming back to a breath. Just, okay, I'm distracted. I'm focusing on that. I'm starting to plan dinner. Come back to an inhale and start again. And that might happen 50 times in 10 minutes. And that's okay because it's simply being aware of, and that's all meditation is being aware. So.
Yeah, and I think awareness is then step one.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards it's, okay, let's start planning or executing some of the things that we become aware of, whether it be, improving this area of your life or having a conversation with this person or whatever. And I think it allows you, for me, I kind of look at it as it gives me a bigger container to be able to give my best self to everyone. Yeah. And to me. Yeah. And when I'm not doing it, I notice I'm a little bit more edgy and I'm a little bit more... Moody. No, I haven't been moody. I haven't been moody since 2007. Potentially.
What was that?
I don't know. Just picked a random year. I digress. I think one of the things I realised that meditation doesn't have to be sitting and breathing and even with guided. It doesn't have to be any of that.
You're on a paddleboard.
Correct. We did that a couple of weeks ago. Surfing,
Running. Paz finds that in his running. That's his time to reflect.
Find your thing. Like driving, I've been trying to not have any music or podcast playing because horrible
Do you like
for
podcasts?
No, I'm horrible for consuming information. So
Yes.
like I'll just consume
But
it.
you process it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That's what my journal's for, mate. That's what this conversation's for.
Mm-hmm.
But like that inability to actually process it if I'm just consuming all the time. So, you know, I don't listen to any music in the mornings now.
That's my
So
favourite
it's
part
only
about my drive to work.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's 15 minutes of silence, of thinking, or fighting to stay awake, either.
Yeah.
But it's, and, you know, 15 minutes where I can digest all of the thoughts from the day before.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've been trying to go for a little walk every day and do the same thing. Nothing coming in, just
We don't have to
thinking
allow
internally.
ourselves that time.
Well, when was the last time you had an hour of silence? You had an extra hour this morning.
Extra 2, mate. That's funny because my drive to work, so I drive 15 minutes to work and I love it. It's, the radio's off, no Spotify on, no podcasts, and it's just that time. And what I have been doing lately, and it's the best thing, is I sleep with my phone on aeroplane mode, as we might delve into, but I keep it on aeroplane mode for, I don't take long in the morning. This, believe it or not, I wake up with.
You look fantastic. Carry on.
Yeah. So maybe 20 minutes in the morning, half an hour at home, I just leave my phone on airplane mode, get in my car and drive to work.
Yeah.
And it's silence, and that for me is normally like my morning meditation because it's my time to sort of just process everything. What have I woken up with today? What am I working with today? And that's what I often see it as well. What have I got to work with today? Because every day that changes a little bit depending on what's happening, what's previously happened. So I love that 15 minutes in the morning, and then I try to challenge myself to see how long it takes before I flick that airplane mode off. Normally it's pretty quick. I get to work and just flick it on, have a scroll.
Dive into some dopamine,
have some morning dopamine with my coffee. So that for me is really good, but the way my sort of roster works is that's only like 1 or 2 days a week. But I love that sort of drive to work. So yeah, I think it's really good.
Back to the teaching. What was the transition like going from student to teacher? And teachers are just students in a different way.
Endless student.
Yeah, but what was it like kind of almost pulling back the curtain, going a bit of Wizard of Oz and seeing it from the other end? Yeah,
it was. I think for everyone that does it, it's a little bit of a wake-up call because you realise how human people are and how human your teachers are.
Yeah.
And I always still try to now go into every teacher's class with a very open mind because you know that we all make mistakes, we all fuck up. And it's really hard now, unfortunately, and I know a lot of teachers find it the same, to go into a class and to not analyse everything. So I have teachers that I love to go to, and part of me, because I love their classes, I love their sequences, I love what they're doing, part of me is almost has a notebook in class to go, that was really cool, remember that. And everyone does it because nothing in yoga is original. Everything is adapted from another teacher and another teacher, and we just add our sort of own salt and pepper to it. And that is how, I guess, with your own individual personality, that's how we get individual teachers. But, everything in yoga is essentially plagiarized. And that's the beauty of it, because then we all just add what we want to it. Yeah. But it's really hard now sometimes to just be in a class and to have that experience that I used to have as a student. So I think you lose that a little bit. So when I first started teaching, it was very sort of humbling to, walk up there and go like, oh, I've totally got this, And then, next minute you're sending everyone left instead of right, and still do every day. There's some of the best classes though. They're the best. And look, I think you have to just laugh at yourself. And I think in my teacher training was one of the things that sort of came up a lot was when I teach, I just sort of keep it pretty light. And that's something that if I don't do that, my classes aren't really me.
Yeah.
And so...
Agreed.
Yeah. And so, you know, I just need to keep that sort of, I guess, light humour of knowing that, you know, keep that sort of openness and humanness and in my classes. But yeah, it definitely changes, and I think a lot of teachers can empathise with that. That once you do your teacher training and further trainings, you can really struggle to just then simply be and enjoy a yoga class. So there's teachers that I seek out just to purely like absorb it as a student. And I'm trying now to just sort of let that happen a lot more.
Yeah.
And then if I like something, just don't focus too much on it in the class. Just do it, and then go, you know, later or the next day, go, all right, let's play with that. Like, I liked that, so maybe I'll try that, rather than trying to think during the class, all right, so they said this, they said that, and they did that. And
overanalyze everything and don't actually enjoy it.
Yeah, and it happens a lot.
I do the same thing with coaching, and it makes me not want to train myself.
Yeah.
Do you have periods of going, I don't want to practice?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you can become really fussy as well. And so I'm pretty fussy because I value my time, and a lot of us do. And so I think, like, if I'm going and spending an hour and, you know, driving here, driving there, I'm really picky about where I go and who I want to see. And I know that people do that as well. So that's why I feel so humbled when people choose to come to a class with me.
Yeah.
Whether it's one person, whether it's 10, whether it's 20. Like, I truly, and I make sure I thank people during each class, at the end of every class, because I think knowing that myself, when I go as a student to someone's class, like, I'm really giving up my time to be in the space and allow them to guide me through something. So I go through periods where, I don't get to classes, and I sort of, for me, I mix it a little bit up with, like, for me it's always a conflict. Do I VGT or do I yoga? So, and I love both, and I'm yet to go to a VGT like that. I never want to go. Like, never. I drive there and I don't know what it is. It's just this aversion to the gym.
Yeah.
And then I get there and afterwards, and pretty much every time, I call Paz afterwards and I'm like, that was awesome! Every single time.
You need to, like, bottle that feeling. And
I know, because that doesn't always happen with yoga. And most of the time it does, but like, we all have classes, and I've taught them, and people have walked out, and I'm sure of it, where they've gone, oh shit.
But it's like there's no such thing as a bad meditation. Like,
no.
So there's no such. I don't think there's such thing as a bad yoga class, because if you give yourself to that class for that hour, then...
And that's it. Even if you didn't love what the teacher taught, you cannot have walked out of that class without bettering yourself in some way, whether you know it then or not. So, I sort of have on my mind body about 5 different studios, and then Virtus with the VGT schedule. And whenever I say, if it's, you know, Monday and I'm like, all right, I've got this evening free, I'm not teaching, I want to go to a class, and then I look at what's on, what time, who's teaching, and then I choose where I want to go. So I do that, and I've got set teachers that I love and set classes that I love. So it slips off a little bit. It's great in sort of the studios that I teach, being able to then just go to classes when I want to. That's a really awesome thing about the yoga industry, is if you teach somewhere, you can just practice there. So that's what I love, and for me, it's like, I don't have an excuse not to work out my brain or my mind, because I have these things on offer to me, whereas other people on the other hand have to go, can I afford to go to yoga tonight? No, I don't think I can. Like, I'm just going to look at something at home. So I need to remind myself, when I'm being a lazy shit, that I am so privileged to be able to just go and do this and not have to think about that.
Just a little gratitude play, right?
Yes. Yep.
This morning at 10 a.m, if I was to have asked you, what are you grateful for, what would you have said? And would you have been in a headspace to be able to actually stop and
10 a.m, I was driving, and I was having periods of, it's okay, don't worry about it, and you're an idiot, you're a fuck up. So if you ask me what I was grateful for, people being forgiving and accepting and chill. So grateful for Lulu Sorrento.
Yeah.
And I would have said I'm grateful for, I still don't know who it was that took the class that I didn't show up.
So Anna may have slept in this morning and missed a room full of yogis. She was still asleep when they were starting. But it happens, right?
Does it?
I've been there.
Yeah.
Not yoga, but I've missed it, and it's a horrible feeling.
It's an awful feeling.
I think whenever you're not where you're supposed to be and where you said you would be, and you can't do anything about it, and that lack of control, that's the most frustrating part.
It was that far gone that I couldn't even go, I'm going to be a bit late, or I couldn't even say it's 9:15, class starts at 9. Couldn't even call and say, do you mind just, like, surely there'll be someone there. I knew that there'd be a yoga teacher doing the class that can just take it.
Yeah.
No, it was 9:10.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah, like, I knew that when Luna woke me up, just sort of sniffing around, that I had slept in because I felt way too fresh. I knew that it was not 7 a.m. because I just felt really good. Looked, and sure enough, my phone on airplane mode.
Yeah.
9:06.
A couple of missed calls once you'd flicked it off.
Yeah. Because I just didn't. And then that's happened once before at work, and I didn't feel as bad when it happened at work. Did not feel. I mean, sure, people's lives, but no.
Yeah, it is a little different though. Like, you've got a room full of yogis ready to go.
Yeah, and that's the thing. People have
expecting you to be there, and
that's it. And with an incredible group of people that have given me that opportunity to do that, and letting people down is the shittest thing. And doing, when you commit to something and commit wholeheartedly, like, I was so excited. I love events like that, and I love being able to offer that to people. So I was, I had all my uniform laid out, and I was like, oh yeah, cool. I had everything ready to roll, and the drive down, I was just going to have my playlist on and just, I normally talk through my stuff.
Didn't happen.
Then I sort of sat there twiddling my thumbs because I'm like, all right, well, it's too late to get down there now.
Yeah.
What do I do? So, anyway.
Were you kind to yourself?
No.
Why not?
Because I felt like I'd fucked up, and I went through periods. So, like, honestly, so I ended up still driving down there because I wanted to go and make it in time to see
the end of the
everyone
class
that was there and say thank you to who covered, and didn't get there in time. Everyone had already gone by the time I made it down to Blackgary. So I was like, all right, cool, no worries. But I had periods of it's fine, and I had to ask myself, like, all right, what was the consequence of my actions or inaction? And at the end of the day, people were just chilling for about 10 minutes, and then they still got a free yoga class. So, like, the people that went got what they wanted, and probably, and from what I heard, a great class. And so that's fine. It was nothing off the backs of the guys at Lulu. That worked for them. Someone still taught the class. Yeah. And so it was more just how I felt. And so that's something I can now control.
Correct.
And so I had to, like, the sort of negative self-talk and how harsh I was on myself was far worse than the actual consequences of what had happened. So I had to keep reminding myself that. And I was like, you're an idiot. Like, it's fine. It's okay. But you
still have those feelings.
Yeah. So then I'd be okay. And I was like, yeah, cool. No worries. Just breathe. All good. And then that sick sort of feeling in my stomach was just still there. And it's still there right now. And that'll... go away.
It's good to feel upset and disappointed at yourself. But
Things
I think
that you care about it.
Yeah, 100%.
And I just... Yeah, I don't know how... I'm sure there's people that's not an uncommon thing for them. Yeah. That, can be unreliable and things like that, and they just sort of go, oh, sorry. But for me, I was just, ugh. Yeah. Because to me, I thought this reflects me as a person. I'm now seen as this unreliable, irresponsible, sleepy.
What we talked about at the start, what you do doesn't determine who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you messaged me and said, you know...
What did I say?
This is at 9:14, so you must have messaged me, like, just after you woke up. I said, you know, when you fuck up, guess what I did today? Slept through what was meant to be teaching yoga for Lulu at Sorrento. We can talk on the podcast about it. Good. And I said, don't let it ruin your day. And you said, I'm trying. So I think it's really easy.
I was.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, we can do our best to try, but there's still going to be that voice in the back of our head saying, you're a piece of shit, you fucked up. Because I've done
Cam,
it.
is that you?
Because, like, I've done it. Not repeatedly, but I've done it, you know, a couple of times a year for the last 10 years of being a coach, and it sucks, right? It's nothing worse, but one time, probably the last time I did it, I was like 20 minutes late, and interns warmed the guys up out the front of the gym. Like, a couple of people went home because they were like, oh, I'll just go get an extra little bit of sleep. And I felt so horrible, but then about an hour after that class, I stopped and I kind of went, if I feel like this for the rest of the day, I'm going to have a horrible day. I'm going to have a shit-house day. And I kind of just went, I'm not going to let this ruin my day. And it was just like a simple mindset shift. Yes, I still had that feeling in my guts for the rest of the day, but I ended up having one of the best days I've had for a while. And I remember sitting at home that night. I wasn't journaling at this point, but if I would have written something about actually just stopping and thinking and being a little bit kind to yourself, I remember thinking, like, I could have ruined my day, or I could have decided... Yeah. And so many of us, so often, we're our own worst enemy because we just go, oh, you're a piece of shit. And that negative self-talk, like, if you were attending that class and the teacher hadn't rocked up and you probably would have stuck your hand up to take it, you would have no negative feelings towards that teacher.
No.
Right? You'd be full of compassion for that person. Oh, they must have had, like, a big week last week, or they must have just missed their alarm, or whatever. Yeah, but you would never feel shit.
No, and that's it. And I haven't thought about it like that, so that's really cool. Because that's how I didn't think of it like that, but I was sort of thinking from the perspective of everyone there, like, you know, 10 minutes is 10 minutes. That's nothing, and then they go to class. So they got what they they arrived for. Yeah. And I got an extra 2 hours sleep.
It's the dream. So it's win-win.
It's win-win. You know what? What a great day.
Just don't do it again. Okay. And if you do, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, if I do, win-win.
Yeah.
Make sure I get a good amount of sleep.
But it's just that how we frame something to ourselves changes everything. Yeah. Like, I haven't practiced yoga in 3 weeks, and rather than being, I know it's mostly your fault, but
it's pretty much your fault.
No, it is my fault. It's completely my fault.
Yoga's been there, mate.
That's true. I've had stuff on, but so I haven't practiced in like 3 weeks, and like I was thinking about it the other day, and I was kind of annoyed at myself that I hadn't sorted out a class and I hadn't made it happen. But then I was like, I'm just going to be excited for Sunday.
Yeah,
rather than worrying about it, and I'm just going to be excited for next Sunday, which will do the same thing. So
Oh, do we? Oh yeah, Jinyasa. Yeah.
For anyone listening to this on the 2nd of December.
I don't think the podcast is going to be out.
No, it's going out tomorrow.
Jesus.
Yeah. On the 2nd of December, we have the Virtus Christmas party at Virtus HQ in Mornington. And at 12 o'clock, we kick it off with Jinyasa 3.0. 3.0. So we get to drink gin and do yoga, which is kind of the best thing ever.
It's amazing.
And then we have our Christmas party, and then we get to play basketball, Virtus ball. It's kind of the dream day. I'm so excited.
There's no better day.
Question for you, though.
But will I be there?
I fucking hope so. Otherwise, I'll take the class.
Yeah, you know how.
All right, guys, child's pose, and see you in an hour. But the reason I brought that up is because yoga, for a lot of people, is a very... what's the word I'm looking for? It's a practice that shouldn't be mixed with other vices or other things. But a lot of people see it that way.
For sure. I've had some backlash.
Yeah, and that's that was my question. Like, what kind of backlash have you had from the Jinyasa stuff?
Only one person.
Yeah.
And I get it from their perspective of just seeing, I guess, the promotion of it without experiencing it.
Yeah.
And so we've done 2. And the first thing we start with is connection to everyone in the room. So it's both of them have been a bunch of strangers, actually. So a few Vertis people, but a lot of people that don't know each other.
Yeah.
And so the first thing that we do is we go and cheers and look someone in the eye that we don't know. And like what I like about it is it gets people out and into the yoga space that might not have gotten there otherwise, because there are types of yoga that aren't accessible for people, and they see that, and that might be their story, but they're not going to get into that space whether we want them to.
It is an intimidating space.
Exactly. And so what I like to be able to offer is something that doesn't matter if you can touch your toes or touch your nose. Like, it doesn't matter if you've got Paz's flexibility or Georgie's flexibility.
Yeah.
Like, it creates this, and most classes should be able to, most classes should be able to offer that. But in reality, they don't, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But we do just sort of let go of any of the expectation or bullshit around what something should look like and whether you're doing it right.
Yeah.
And we actually just connect to everyone else in the room, and then we still take that time to sort of sit and come into a space of non-judgment and acceptance and fun, and we still throw in the other yoga principles. Yes, we have gin, but we're not getting shit-faced. That was my birthday.
Depends on the ratios.
Look, ratios, it does depend. But, we're not there to just simply get shit-faced and make a mockery of yoga. And that's the thing. Like, I think anyone that's been would say that we still show so much respect to the practice.
Oh, yeah.
And, there are other events as, people do Vino and Vinyasa and all these other different events which bring people together. And so I think after the one at Common Folk that we did, I had someone and their partner come, and they'd been experiencing just a bit of difficulty together. And they said to me, like, thank you so much. Like, him coming just was so good for our relationship. We needed that time to just completely connect to each other and love each other. And I was able to offer that through yoga.
Yeah.
Yes, through Jinyasa, but it wasn't, I think that that's really awesome if that's what we can offer. And so I think it is something really cool to be able to offer, like, to do with a friend or a couple, or, if you're going solo, that's cool. And that's why we try to sort of honour if people are turning up solo. That's why I get everyone to sort of mingle and mix so that someone's.
I love that bit at
up.
the start. Like, it's just this pure connection, and then during you connect with yourself, and then it's cheers the person next to you, and that environment doesn't happen enough in society. People don't put themselves out there, or don't put themselves in environments, and people don't lead those environments enough for people to go, you know what, like, let's get around this. Like, it's a conference during the week, and it's kind of tradition. I've been to this. That was my fourth one of this, and it was a tradition that at the start everyone stands up, music pumps, everyone gives each other, like, gives two random people a hug, like just a big hug, like they're old friend you haven't seen for years. And I love that part of it. Yeah. And like finding different things that we can do as a Buddhist family, as a community, as a society, to do those things and to feel that way. Yeah. It's so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's it. So I think I've only received yet sort of one sort of negative comment or interaction with it, and that's from someone who's very, very within the very, very traditional yoga space, and that's fine. And it's like there are things within that yoga space that I disagree with as well, and that's opinion, and that's okay. But that's coming from someone who's only sort of seeing the external side of it, and I get that. They're just sort of seeing it, yoga and gym. Like, why are we doing that? Like, why are we bastardizing it?
Yeah.
But, I would love for that person to come along, but they still might not enjoy it. But at the end of the day, I have to not think about, like, everything you do is going to piss someone off no matter what you do.
100%. And
so at the end of the day, I offer what I offer to those people that want to come and have a go.
And within yourself why you offer that.
Yeah. And, like, it doesn't make me question it one little bit. So, yeah, Jinyasa will be continuously expanding. And, for example, today there was an event on the peninsula, goat yoga.
Goat yoga.
But it was done at this gorgeous farm on the peninsula, and it was a day, I forget what it's called, Calm Your Farm. So it was actually a day of, again, connection, meditation, being out in nature, yoga with goats, and it was like someone could turn around and go, oh, that's bastardizing yoga. Well, no, it's still creating connection, beautiful interaction, and
if it lowers that barrier to entry for a few more people to experience yoga, like I'm sure some of those people who maybe haven't tried yoga and go, you know what, I love gym, let's give this a try, they might be yogis now.
Exactly. So,
I like that. Question for you. Are you happy?
Yes.
Good. Why? And how do you know that you're happy?
Because I didn't have any hesitation to say yes. And I don't know, everything is good. I'm doing what I want to do. And I'm well rested and evidently like fresh, look fresh, feel fresh. I'm sort of just, I guess, living what I'd say is my dharma or my truth and doing the things that I love, and I'm happy. I'm in a good place.
And it's cool because you haven't always been happy.
No.
And we've had conversations before when you're like, I wasn't happy.
Yeah, but like at the time you might not realise that you're not happy until you get happy.
Yeah.
So
and you realise the difference.
Yeah, and then you realise the difference. You're like, oh shit. But
you've cultivated the life you live now.
Yeah.
Like it hasn't just been like.
I wasn't handed a plate of happiness.
No.
I was handed a delicious plate of Paz, and like,
that's true.
That
what a man.
Four dings for Paz, Pazzy Wazzy Ding Dong, as we call him. No, I wasn't. I cultivated this in the sense that I realised I was unhappy. Took a long time, and I think for many of us that can take a long time, can take years. It took me years. Knew something wasn't right, and then finally sort of realised this is what I don't want, and then by doing that allowed me the space to accept what was coming next and what I did want.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
You're able to do that.
Profound.
Yeah. I'm really excited to do yoga tonight. Just giving me a yoga boner.
I'm going to give everyone yoga boners tonight.
Is that bastardizing yoga?
Probably.
Shit.
Anyone that's like not a fan of what I'm offering would have probably left the podcast already, so it's fine.
I assume so.
I think anyone offended by yoga boners is probably already gone.
Next question. What are you becoming?
I don't know yet. But it feels good.
Feels good, do it.
Yeah, I don't know yet.
Yeah, it's exciting. That question I asked you right at the start, which is like who and what are you outside of the things you do. I feel as though the what are you becoming is like a future version of that question.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, what are the things that I'm doing every day and how is that going to affect what I end up, and how does the way I think affect where or what I end up to be?
Yeah.
Which is exciting because it's, like you said, it's all on us to cultivate that future or that whatever. And the future might not even exist. Yeah. Which is the scary thing. Plus the exciting thing, because it means that if there's something that we're not doing, if people are aware that, become aware that they're not happy like you did, it's up to you to change it. No one else is going to change it for you.
Yeah, exactly. You need to step into that and own that.
Love your work. One more thing before we finish up. I want you to do something for me. I want you to read one of those little poems in that little book in front of you.
Alright, so if anyone hasn't already heard or seen this book, it's called Anatomy by Frank Martin, and she's a Melbourne-based yogi teacher, so let's just shout out.
Should be on in a couple of weeks.
She'll be on in a couple of weeks. And I've never met her. I want to. I'm just already fangirling over her. So it's this book that's, I guess, similar in a sense to the Sun and Her Flowers and Milk and Honey, but way less dark and deep. Still dark and deep, but
It's pretty heavy, some of it.
It's heavy, but it's beautiful. So it's, I guess, poetry and beautiful words, and it's a story. So I'm going to read. I've got so many of these pages are cornered. So many.
Yeah, I don't think it counts if you corner the whole book. It's just like you may as well have just left them uncornered.
Yeah, I know. And I just picked this up randomly. Like, I carry it with me a lot. Jesus Christ. All right, this is a short one, but this is so profound, and I think that it's so important for people to sit with. So I'm going to read two things. Can I read two?
You can do whatever you want.
All right, I'm going to read this one first. Permission to be who I am is the greatest gift I ever gave myself. It is endless. So, like, that is just... It's profound. It's amazing. And I think it comes into that whole sort of acceptance and self-acceptance, self-love, and just truly accepting yourself as you are and allowing... Yeah, I don't know, it's just nice, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I think if you accept yourself for who you are, warts and all, then it doesn't mean you can't want to still improve and get better and grow and become a better human.
Yeah, exactly. Well, with that is this other... So this comes before that. I do not care what you look like under that happy, shiny mask. Let your truth spill over your edges. Let your truth spill over your edges. Let your flaws surge through your scars. Let your shadows, your tears, your pain engulf you. I'll be here, rock steady, heart open, loving you through it all. Self-love. So, yeah, like, accepting yourself and then knowing that there are going to be these flaws and these things that you're going to be working with and improving upon. But, yeah, you know.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been good.